Nelson, and at the moment John Jules, number 18, now quite take the grandstand seat now and see if there's anything to offer. That is quite a dichotomy for him, isn't it, really, for John Newell? Does he get involved, or does he wait to see if there are bits of crumbs to pick up? He's still pushing very hard as the dust flies in the air as he's just cut the corner a little bit tight as he came into Gorham. Ryan Smith, the number 1 truck, absolutely glued to the back of David Jenkins onto the start-finish straight. This is the point where he felt that he had been pushed towards the pit wall. I didn't notice it myself, if I'm honest, but that was his feeling. The windscreen wiper going.
I think might have been the phrase applied.
Yes, squeezed. He's certainly looking one way and then the next he's got his windscreen wiper going. Whether that means there's any kind of fluid coming off the back of James' truck.
Brakes give out steam sometimes.
That makes sense. And if he's that close, I thought we had something like wacky races going on with him. Catch the pigeon. But not at the moment. He's
right in the cloud dust.
Exactly. Round Wilson he goes nice and safely at the moment. Then it is the gap, and it's the 18 John Newell. Then a small gap again, and then we've got the number 2 Ray Coleman. Then a surprising gap, if I'm honest, and then we've got these 2 truck of Mark Taylor and 95 Ricky Collett. Certainly Mark Taylor did not get the start he wanted, and he's not really made the moves to try and recover, so I'm not sure if that truck is quite in the health that he would want it to be, considering he arrived here 3rd in the championship. But so far, damage limitation. That looks like a good infield or start of the infield section from John Newell, the number 18 truck. He's probably reeled in. Oh, very wide there for Ryan Smith. You can see the tail end out as well as the dust that time, Alan.
Yeah, that was. It hasn't actually cost him any time on track. So he hasn't lost any time on the back of David Jenkins' truck, but it did look very messy as it came out of Hamilton. So it didn't cost him any time. But
Power slide.
It wasn't the neatest and the tidiest, was it?
No, definitely not. But as Alan said, he got away with it. You might not think it when you suddenly see him coming down because you'll say the gap is bigger, but that gap had already grown to this before he made that mistake. I noticed it as they were heading towards that. Just taking a breather at the minute, especially if we find that Jenkins has a problem towards the latter part of this race, is that Ryan doesn't need to win it at the start, does he?
No, he certainly doesn't, and to apply pressure in second place to hopefully force some kind of error on behalf of David Jenkins would be the gift that Ryan Smith is maybe hoping for. So he doesn't need to get involved in ultra close racing at this stage, but to try and force an error by staying very close behind. But he's not very close behind on this lap. The gap is 0.3 of a second, so it's relative, but it's not quite close enough to really be.
Fifth place 81 truck of Mark Taylor is now starting to close in on number 2 Coleman. So Ray Coleman, the black and white with the yellow stripe down the middle of the black and white top and bottom, is now starting to come under pressure. And in fairness, Mark Taylor's taking Collett with him, the yellow 95 truck, so he's going to be under growing pressure there very soon. John Newell they do sometimes kick up the dust on the entry to the corner, don't they, where they clearly take as wide a sweep as they possibly can.
As much as they absolutely can, really pushing it, and they're big. Yeah, they are big machines.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's certainly when it's the side of the truck that they're not sat, that they just misjudge it slightly and go as far over as they can, find that they've gone a little bit too far, kick up the dust. It's not going to cause too much of an issue if they're in a straight line, as long as it doesn't sort of sit on their tyres and unsettle them through that corner.
Smith has done the same, kicking up that dust on the outside of Hamilton's second time running.
And again, though, it hasn't cost him anything.
Cost him, no.
John Newell's fallen away from the back. I thought that he was starting to get a little bit closer, but hopefully it's not an issue with John Newell's truck, but he's certainly fallen away, but I'm not sure. Very wide there from Collett. That's a big dust cloud. The marshals probably love him for that.
Yeah. The dust still settling now.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're coughing up everything now after that dust being kicked in their face. But
I don't know how this game of chess is going to play out. At the moment, he's still behind the screen.
so half race distance yet.
Who would you rather be?
John Newell.
Jenks, Ryan Smith or John Newell?
I would rather be John Newell, just sit there with the grandstand seat watching the whole thing. I just can't help but I'm feeling nervous in the commentary box seeing this thing unfold.
It does feel like something's about to bubble at some stage, doesn't it?
It really, really does. And, it's down to doing something in the closing stages there. It's a little bit of flapping bodywork on the rear of David Jenkins' truck, and I wasn't sure whether there's a little bit of damage on the front of Ryan Smith. So they've clearly, if I'm reading the bodywork correctly, bubble up towards the end. It's possible it may well do. At the moment, there's quite a significant gap, but you also wouldn't put it past Ryan Smith, knowing that he's got the lap times in the truck there. And so he sits and goes, that's fine, I'll let you be lured into a false sense of security. Such is the game of chess that's out there. They're both lapping in the 24s. Remember, Jenkins only got down to the 24s for the first time in the earlier race, didn't he? So he's been sort of down to that lap time instantly. Now he knows it's there. Now he's got a full gear stick.
Well, we hope he has.
We assume he has, the fact that he's doing the 224s now.
Yeah.
But, yes, instead of, what did he drop down to? 27s, 28s?
27, wasn't it?
Yeah. So far he's able to just use the one hand to change gears at the moment. John Newell's falling ever further away from them. He is lapping the 27s, albeit just slightly quicker, 2/10 quicker than the number 2 truck of Ray Coleman. Coleman is definitely under growing pressure from the chasing pair of trucks behind him. Mark Taylor in the black, white and red number 81, and 95 Ricky Collett just behind him. So that's very much a trio up for those places being 4th, 5th and 6th. John Newell in a comfortable podium position as it stands, and he's just there. He drops away almost as if he knows the same as us, feels the same as us, thinking any minute now it's just gonna explode into something. Ryan Smith
a goodly distance behind as they go through the corner, very long corner at Corham, then into Murray's to complete the lap, and Ryan exuberantly kicks up the dust on the exit of Murray's onto the centre straight. They're going to be completing 4 laps at the end of this one. Jenks in 69 across the line, Ryan Smith in second. The advantage 1.5 seconds between Jenks and Ryan Smith, but I just don't feel it's going to finish quite like this.
No, I know. That said, as it stands at the moment, Jenkins is probably fairly matching what has been the fastest lap so far this weekend by any of the truck drivers. It's about 10 slower than something closing that gap.
He's just put in his personal best, hasn't he? A 2:24.793 for Ryan Smith.
But he has managed a 2:24.385 during the course this weekend, so we know he can go quicker. But
which would be helpful to him now.
It would, but the fact that Jenkins is now down in the 2:24.4s, it means that he's not got the massive advantage that we saw in race number 1. But all it takes is just a tiny little mistake, and that gap will disappear.
And at the moment, he's not doing it. We saw dramatically those last couple of laps where David Jenkins all of a sudden lost pace due to dramas taking place inside the cockpit of the truck, with the gear lever coming off in his hand and having to very manually and mechanically change gear.
We've got side by side, we've got, it looks like Ricky Collett's made the move. I could see it coming. He was trying to get past Mark Taylor, so the 81, third in the championship when he arrived here. Mark Taylor's had to give up that position, so up into 5th goes Collett now, and in fact Mark Taylor's run very wide there, kicking up the dust again hugely on the exit. It's suddenly, it's like a battlefield out there with the big balls of pushing it very, very hard. Not least the second place, Ryan Smith, is at numerous places now, I would say. We've seen him sort of just overdriving ever so slightly, as though the adrenaline still hasn't settled down. But it isn't quite working out. But he's not losing dramatic amounts of time anymore. That has gone, and he's not gone any further back or any further forward. forward.
Gap was 1.5 seconds at the end of the fourth lap. They're coming up to complete now 5 laps with just under 3 minutes of the race remaining, and Ryan Smith comes through now in second place, 1.7 seconds behind. So maybe this challenge is not going to happen as we thought it might. Jenkins is leading by an increased margin. Ryan Smith is getting a driver warning flag for track limits, and we have seen him kicking up the dust lap after lap, particularly down at Hamilton's, and now that's become so that's a warning. Carry on doing it, then you're going to get a penalty.
Exactly, and I mean, it's in Hamilton. I would imagine the other place that they're watching it is on the exit of Murray's as well. We've seen him do that a couple of times, and that is a place where there will be, a lot of the drivers will be trying to take advantage as much as possible, carrying more speed through that corner, running wide, and it's like, no, as Mr. Palmer says, that ain't cricket, and you need to keep yourself on the tarmac to try and make sure that you're all fighting on a level playing field. Through they go for the 6th time, and so if the lap count's going to be correct, this will be their penultimate lap, and they'll get the last lap board next time they come through. We got, I presume that's just warnings that are going out. I don't think that we're on the last lap as it stands at the moment, although there are boards out that could have been saying that. I'm not entirely sure, but if it is, then we're suddenly a whole lap less of racing than we did last time, so I'll be very surprised. But down they go to down the Bentley Straight, and they're about to appear under the bridge. That does look like Ryan Smith possibly has brought that down a little bit. Run a little bit wide on the exit of Nelson there, in towards the bomb hole, so it may end up showing us on the screen it's about the same, and sort of just undo the work that he put in.
1.7 seconds the gap between first and second, 69. The centre straight they will go. They'll cross the line and then go on to their final lap. It's David Jenkins, winner from the race earlier on, who leads Ryan Smith, multiple champion, reigning champion, in second place. To the eye, the gap has come down. It has come down to the tune of 1.161 of a second. So, fastest lap of the race, 2:24.198 for Ryan Smith.
Fastest lap of the whole weekend, that one is an incredible lap time. He's just absolutely obliterated by 2 tenths. I say obliterated, come on, that is 2 tenths is a lot for a fastest lap for the weekend in these massive trucks. Under massive pressure now in 4th place, number 2, Ray Coleman, because Ricky Collett, the 95 yellow truck, is coming at him as they go down towards Riches. The last lap board does go out for these guys, so they do know that this is their final opportunity to do something about it. And this is going to be like red flag to a ball. Ricky Collins go around the outside up at Wilson, trying to move up into 4th place. He's going to be on the outside for the hairpin, and running wide goes Ray Coleman, and up the inside is now coming the 81 truck, and they're all trying to scrabble for adhesion on the tarmac, bumping along the grass. There goes Ray Coleman. Thank you very much, says Mark Taylor. The number 81 truck suddenly jumps up 2 places due to the shenanigans through the hairpin of the 2 trucks ahead of him.
At Agostini, Ryan Smith in second place was right on the tail of David Jenkins. Once again, he kicks up the dust. He's had a warning about track limits over at Hamilton. They go through. Oggies now 2 tied together as 1. It has been a game of chess. Ryan Smith really has the hammer down now.
And side by side as well, Ricky Collett's been pushed onto the mud, so we've got it happening everywhere on this last lap. Ray Coleman's got past Collett again, and down the Bentley Straight they go, Alan. It is, I don't know, we're both nervous and glued to this as we watch them going down the Bentley Straight, and they're going to appear under, it is still the black and white truck of David Jenkins that's got it, number 69, in towards Brundle, through Brundle, into Nelson they go. And the white number 1 truck glued to the back now. We're going to get it again, Alan. We're going to be coming on to start-finish straight with that pit wall to the right-hand side of them, both challenging for the win.
Fascinating stuff as they come down towards Coram for the final time. It's the 69 machine of David Jenkins that leads, but only just from the reigning champion Ryan Smith. As the 2 close up together, they come around Coram, up towards Murray's. Stand on tiptoes, I can just see them going around the corner. Jenkins is very neat and tidy. This is going to be the dash to the line.
Well, here we go, and there is don't squeeze in or anything. In fact, it looks like they're both hugging the pit wall, flashing his lights. David Jenkins knows that he's got it. Through he goes, takes the victory by 0.389 in the end there. Ryan Smith got very, very close there, and it never quite managed to do it. And we all just suddenly breathed a collective sigh of relief. Third place, a great job.
I didn't know how that was going to play out at all.
I didn't know. Third place there for John Newell. Great job by the number 18 truck. He has been enjoying the podium here this weekend, and a good fight back, taking advantage of the melee ahead of him. Bit of war wounds from taking that opportunity. Goes the 81 Mark Taylor. Number 2 Ray Coleman just about takes 5th place ahead of 95 Richard Collett, and that was mighty close, and it should then be a long way back, albeit after the third lap. Truck on Tom O'Rourke. Absolutely incredible race yet again. And we've got one more to go, don't forget. We have the grand final with all of the